Thank you for joining us for this month's edition of the Autocall Academy webcast. I think we have a really informative and exciting session for you this month with a lot of great topics that I think you're going to find really interesting and useful for you. Housekeeping before we get started. My name is Peter Ryan. I'm on the marketing team, and I'm here with my colleague Erin Kapeluk, and she and I will be moderating today's session and looking after the questions in the Q&A window. This is an open forum. Like last month, we're doing this in Teams. That I think gives us the biggest flexibility for everyone to be able to talk and ask questions. That's the good news. The bad news is, of course, that you can talk and ask questions. So we just ask you to keep your mic muted unless you have a question that you want to ask. And we're going to keep all the cameras off except if one of the presenters wants to turn them on, because that helps increase and make sure that the network is working properly. Again, you can put your text questions at any time in the chat stream, and we will have time for live Q&As at the end of the session. As always, this session is being recorded and it will be posted to the Autocall website afterwards, for other people to download and look at. So just wanted to make sure you're aware, and anything that you say will be recorded. If that's something you're not comfortable with, you can go ahead and drop off the session so that you're not being recorded. Excuse me. Just as a point of housekeeping here, next session we're going to try to move over to WebEx. We did get some feedback from the last session that the Teams platform is got a couple things that people aren't loving, and we're going to try next time to see WebEx and see if we can settle on a platform that everybody is really happy with. So this there'll be a change in the way the invitations will show up, and you'll see those coming in your email box. So for today's agenda, we'll start with some really exciting news on the UL 268 7th edition sensor launch. Anil Kanjawar, the product manager for our entire sensor line, is here to share that news with you. Really good stuff. And then Chuck Caudill is going to pop on and give us a live demo of some of the new things that are happening in Selection Navigator, and cover some information about how to get the most out of the Selection Navigator system. And then Chelsea Fu and Glenn Sorensen are here to do the official introduction of Xaap, which is an excellent inspection and test program inspection portal, which allows you to really increase the efficiency and accuracy of your inspections, and also to produce really good reports that your customers are going to love. And I think you're all going to be really excited to see this service and what it can do for you. And again, we'll wrap up with Q&A. So with that being said, I wanted to just pass this over to Evan real quick to see if you had any words before we jump off.
I do. Thank you, Peter. And thanks to all of you for joining. And I see the numbers continue to grow here, so more people are joining on. But first and foremost, I just want to say we hope that you and your families are keeping very safe at this unprecedented time that continues upon us here. And, you know, we've seen the infection rates continuing to grow within COVID-19, and you know, we ask that you continue to stay safe. We would do the same thing with our employees. We really encourage everybody to follow proper processes being, you know, conveyed to us through the professionals, so that we can get past this pandemic. And I speak to that from a place, you can see my background. I live just outside of Toronto. We've seen our numbers skyrocket over the last couple days and weeks. So I just, you know, we hope that you're all staying very safe, and we hope that we'll get over this soon. Now, on to the exciting things. So like Peter said, we have a really exciting agenda ahead of us. A lot of this information that we're going to pass on came from you guys as far as what you're asking to see on these meetings. And we encourage you to continue to give your feedback so that we understand, are we hitting the right topics? Do you want to see different topics? And we'll make sure that the value stays high for these meetings going forward. And then lastly, last time I was on here, I spoke to you about some recognition awards. And so we're going to move forward with showing recognition to our award winners from a dealer perspective, talking about our Top Gun Award, our top sales by region, and then a couple other awards that we'll have in the mix. So we'll discuss those in the December meeting. And then we'll present out to them at our dealer conference in January. So cat's out of the bag. If you didn't hear already, we will have a dealer conference. Unfortunately, it'll look a little bit different. It won't be in person, but more to come on that piece. And that's where we will hand out the awards. So I'm going to pass it over now to our great presenters. Again, thank you for being valued customers of ours. We greatly appreciate what you're doing day in and day out to grow this exceptional brand of Autocall. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. Anil, you're up now with the 7th edition sensors. Take it away.
All right. Thanks, Peter, and thanks, Evan. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to folks on the West Coast. My name is Anil Konchalwar. I'm the product management lead for our sensors and networks product line. I know I probably met most of you in either Miami or San Diego last year. So, Peter, let me take over the presentation, right?
Yep, go for it.
Let me share my screen. You can see it, right?
We got it. Looks good.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about the UL 268, the smoke detector standard, 7th edition. So UL recently updated the standard for smoke detector, UL 268 for smoke system connected, and 217 is for the smoke alarms. So it is a new performance standard for UL listed fire detection technology, and then this standard actually includes revisions, additions to about 215 plus different tests that are required to meet the standard. And of course, as I said, it affects smoke alarms, so that's UL 217, and it's system detectors, which is 268. So the 268, this standard has new sensor qualification tests. There are 3 new tests they've added to it to qualify the sensors. So these include a new cooking test, and then 2 polyurethane foam test for smoldering and flaming fires. The 7th edition tests, they better represent the profiles and behaviors of modern building fires. You think about it, previous edition tests were defined where when the buildings began, it was defined before the buildings began using the new modern material, using foam and nylon so extensively. So that was one of the reasons why they added new tests for polyurethane foam. Another reason why they added the cooking test is the research has showed that people frequently disable the smoke alarm, smoke detectors due to the nuisance alarm caused by cooking. So the goal of 7th edition was to reduce nuisance alarms due to cooking. And of course, it gives building occupants more time to safely evacuate. And then, with the higher goal of saving lives, reduce property damage, and decrease unwanted alarms. So that is an overall goal of the 7th edition standard. So why polyurethane burn test, right? So as I mentioned in previous slide, the use has vastly increased and are found almost everywhere, right? So these closed cell, flexible foam, the furniture, the mattresses. You talk about that memory foam mattresses, the padding that's used, the carpet padding, the rigid foam that's used in insulation and noise reduction, the coatings, those are used, the sealants for wood and concrete, adhesives, TPU, which is the thermoplastic polyurethane, and then the reaction injection molding, those are used in automotive, construction products, life safety products. Threads, fabrics. I mean, you think the list goes on and on, right? All the materials that are used in modern buildings, they burn very quickly. They burn very hot. These have been, the research has shown that this is a significant cause of fire deaths in past 25 years. They reach flashover at a faster rate. So here, there's some illustrations here, some images here where there's polyurethane foam flaming fire and then polyurethane foam smoldering fire. Look at the smoke, that's how dense that smoke is on the smoldering fire. And the foam flaming fire, it flashes over at a very fast rate within several seconds, the tests have shown. And when these type of fires burn, there is a rapid oxygen depletion in the space. Emits dense smoke, as you show in that picture. And of course, with toxic gases with them, right? Hydrogen cyanide, carbon monoxide. And so what is the impact? Basically, they dramatically reduce the safe egress time for occupants, safe evacuation time for occupants. And then the cooking nuisance alarm reduction. So that the test which was added is a frozen hamburger test. So cooking is number one source of nuisance alarms, and the research has shown that up to 73% are caused by cooking. The nuisance alarms are caused by cooking. And so in fires where smoke alarms were present but did not operate, the research has shown that 46% had missing or disconnected batteries. As I mentioned before, people just become, it becomes a nuisance. Hey, I'm cooking, or my wife's cooking, or, this keeps going off. I'm just going to take the batteries out. And when there is a real event, the detector is not detecting smoke. And then why did UL choose the frozen hamburger, right? The research has shown that the broiling frozen hamburger was found to be the best replacement for all cooking scenarios, best alternate for all cooking scenarios. So whether you're cooking pizza or you're frying vegetables, bagels, bacon, toast, your common cooking source of cooking fires, really. And the broiling hamburger produces a broad range of particle diameters too, right? So that's another reason why it was chosen. So it can create particles, small particles as small as 0.01 micrometers to up to particles as big as 1 micrometer. And then this type of cooking fire is challenged for all smoke alarm types, so whether it's ion, photo, or combination. And what was also found that it was a repeatable test fire with a frozen hamburger test. So that was the reason why a frozen hamburger test was used. Bottom line is nuisance alarms, as I mentioned, are dangerous as they destroy trust and then cause complacency, right? Where you take out the battery saying, hey, this just goes off, I need to turn it off. And when there's a real event, you're not detecting the fire. So what are the requirements for 7th edition adoption? So the largest impact is on, obviously, equipment manufacturers like us, right? The new tests apply to all residential and system sensors from all the manufacturers. So all sensors manufactured after June 30, 2021 must be 7th edition listed. Of course, manufacturers can sell 6th edition sensors that are already produced and are in inventory. So after the cutoff date, you can still sell those if they're produced before the cutoff date and are in inventory before the cutoff date. You could have 6th edition units installed at customer sites, and if they have not failed, if they don't replacement, you don't need to change them out if they continue to work. And then, of course, 6th and 7th edition sensors, they may coexist on a same system or a same loop. So we are pretty close to launching our 7th edition detector. In fact, we're just waiting on safety stock build for our detectors. We're looking to launch by end of this month. It is based on our flagship True Alarm sensing technology, which provides earlier detection, better fire recognition, and fewer nuisance alarms. What we've done is we've enhanced the algorithms which detect the fire. We have sophisticated algorithms that now use rate of rise as well as actual smoke to detect fire sufficiently and fewer nuisance alarms. Of course, it uses two models, right? One is our 4090 and 9714, which is our photoelectric smoke sensor. It is the exact same part number that you have today. And we're launching a new photo heat smoke sensor, 9764, 4098, 9764, which is going to replace our current 9754 photo heat smoke sensor. Both these detectors, of course, are compatible with all our True Alarm bases. It requires a version 6.01 of our control unit software or later. And then the IDNet 2 firmware also needs to be at a version 2.02.02 as shown on the screen here. The power consumption, installation requirements, system design rules, they stay the same. Nothing changes. One thing to note, the sensitivity levels now are from 0.2 to 3.1% obscuration per foot for 7th edition sensors. We, of course, have these 3 user selectable sensitivities for special applications, and they're 0.2, 0.5, and 1% per foot. These high sensitivity, higher than 1%, are not 7th edition compliant. So if the AAJ say, or if the customer and the AAJ is okay to use a 6th edition because they need special applications, they can continue to use that setting. For 7th edition, the standard sensitivity is 1.25 to 3.1% per foot obscuration, and the fire alarm control panel runs an algorithm that can vary the sensitivity for normal application between this range. So we'll talk about compatibility, upgrades, and retrofits. Right? As I mentioned before, so it can be installed in the same system as 6th edition sensors. So sensors do not all need to be replaced when 7th edition sensors are installed, right? If you are upgrading, right? If you're adding on, sensors, or you can install a 7th edition sensor. It can be on the same loop. You could have 6th edition and 7th edition on the same loop. You can use this existing bases, the exact same base, 97, 92, for example. And the power consumption and placement rules remain same. So talk about use cases, right? So for new systems, when you're programming the new systems, the programmer has an option to select either 6th edition or 7th edition algorithm. For the photo sensor, 7th edition is the default setting. And then for the 9764 multi-sensor, this is a new type of device type in the programmer. Again, you can select a 6th edition or 7th edition, but remember, you cannot, 6th edition will not be compliant after June 2021. It all depends on AAJ if it's okay to use a 6th edition sensor or 6th edition algorithm. And then, of course, no other unique actions will be required for system design or installation, as I mentioned before. So how about existing systems with IDNet 2 cards, right? So if you have to use 7th edition sensors on systems with IDNet 2 cards, you must upgrade the panel firmware to 6.01, and then the IDNet firmware also must be upgraded. And once you upgrade the firmware panel reprogrammed to 7th edition, now the new sensors will operate in 7th edition mode. And again, old and new sensors, they can coexist on the same loop. One thing to note, if firmware is not upgraded, right, and the regulation has taken effect, only a 7th edition approved backward compatible sensor can be used when replacements are needed. So we are also working on a backward compatible sensor, which basically you would be able to use on your existing systems without upgrading the panel software. And that sensor we're looking to launch just prior to June 2021. More details on it as we continue to develop that sensor. So what do salespeople need to know? A couple of perspectives, and for salespeople, for technician, and for a customer. Kind of reiterating highlighting what a True Alarm 7th edition sensor is, right? These are a major step forward in both protection and nuisance alarm immunity. These 7th edition sensor include a series of cooking and steam tests to help ensure better immunity to the common nuisance alarm sources. And then with better detection of synthetic material fires, the 7th edition sensors are better able to protect today's buildings than sensors which were listed under earlier standards. The new sensors, 7th edition sensors, are compatible with all ES panels which use IDNet 2 protocol, and then recommend transitioning all projects which are in process and under design to new 7th edition sensor. Even if the 7th edition is not in effect till June 2021, we are going to be launching 7th edition sensors end of this month, and there is an opportunity to transition all those projects to 7th edition to provide customers with best protection and longest lifecycle products. What do technicians need to know? Sensors provide best protection and highest nuisance alarm immunity. They can be mixed on the same loop with earlier version sensors. There is no difference with 7th edition sensor and the previous generation True Alarm sensors, nothing new to learn or do. And our new sensors are compatible with all ES panels using IDNet 2 protocol. And then what do customers need to know? kind of highlighting the 7th edition sensors provide code compliance and better protection for their people and their facilities. They are better equipped to detect a broader array of fires, do a better job of sensing in today's petrochemical-based building materials. There is less disruption, operational disruption, due to better nuisance alarm immunity. As I mentioned before, nuisance alarms lead to dangerous occupant fatigue and increase the chances that they will ignore or be slow to respond to alarms. So that's why nuisance alarm immunity is so important. And using the latest technology gives your customer's system the best performance and longest possible product life cycle, right? And then 7th edition sensors are easy to retrofit, installed and tested just as the early generation models. There is nothing new to learn, no special tools required, or there are no changes required for wiring or any infrastructure. What are additional resources available? So we have a podcast from Roger Reiswick, who's our VP of Industry Affairs, Codes and Standards. So there is a roundtable, industry roundtable with Roger. He goes into some of the details about 7th edition change. I think there is a link available here in this presentation to access the broadcast, the podcast. There is the detection overview brochure has been updated with 7th edition, and then we have sent out a press release as well from Johnson Controls. So with that, I'm gonna turn over to, is it Chuck?
Yeah, just a quick remark here, Anil. Is, so like you said, the products are being stocked in the factory, and we're going to be launching toward the end of the month. So what we'll do is the brochure is already available on the Autocall website. The new brochure has already been posted up there. The launch bulletin and the launch presentation will be made available as soon as you give me the go-ahead on that. And then what we'll do is we'll do a special bulletin, and we'll send that out to everybody to let them know that it's been published.
Yeah. Perfect.
So when you say the end of the month, not to tie you down, next week is obviously Thanksgiving. Are you talking about like the 30th?
That's correct. Yeah, week of 30th, correct.
The week of the 30th. Okay, awesome. All right, thank you, Anil.
All right, yeah, looking forward to the launch.
Great, and now we'll pass over to Chuck.
Thanks. Hey everybody, thanks for joining in. We appreciate you guys taking the time for us to show you the latest developments. So everybody is hopefully involved with Selection Navigator. You have a login, you know how to use the systems. I suspect there's still some folks that are using Smart Panel and building it and then importing in. The 4100 system configurator is now fully functional. It was a 4-phase release. We started it July 27th with just the basic controller. Then we added more pieces and parts. By September 8th, we had all of them in, but we went back and now we're enhancing, we're optimizing and making it run faster. So this week, Tuesday night, we did a last promote, and what you're seeing now is the latest, greatest. And so I've created a simple project here. Hopefully everybody can see it. And I will edit the system, and let me explain to you how the algorithm has worked in the past. It used to look at every single test option. If it was 50,000 viable test sets it would run, it might find 40 or 50 that would work, but it always grabbed the lowest price. And so what we found after looking at our data after the fact was the first answer was always the right answer, and we were wasting basically your time and ours and our server load by looking at all those different tests when we should have given you the first answer. So that's what we're doing this week. So there's a new button here. If you log in and you're familiar with the 4100, this is a new item here. Let's optimize the panel placement. It's in parentheses slower. When we say optimize, that means let's look at every single option, and we'll still give you the number. We're not going to, but you can check this now. And I've gone through and I've grabbed some options. I have 6 ID NAC circuits, and this is a voice system, different things. But when I go to the panel tab to let this thing run, it's going to. In the past, this took about 30 seconds or so, and last month it took about 3 minutes, and we're finished already. So, and it took actually longer for it to connect to the server than it did for the algorithm to run. So less than 10 seconds is the latest, greatest. All right, so that's one change. And then some other things that you guys will see is the way we choose our power supplies. So hopefully everybody knows that we're using now the ESPS and the ESXPS. If you're trying to use the old XPSs, RPSs, EPSs, those went out of the price book on October 16th. So if you get an import error or you have something where it won't price those, is because they don't exist anymore for new installations. They are replacement parts only. So the difference between the ESPS and the ESXPS really is mostly it's about the charger. So the ESPS has the ability to charge batteries. It also will distribute power across the backplane to other items. So the ESXPS is kind of like the light version. It doesn't have a battery. It still puts the same amount of power out, but you have to mount items on the face. It doesn't put the same power out the backplane. Well, what we found was, believe it or not, even though we were, in the old days, we would, last week, in fact, we would say, let's allow this thing to use ESXPSs. And when we get into bigger systems that have a second or a third cabinet, it was stretching those out, and I had a greater increase of 110 amp hour batteries. And a lot of folks would ask the question, how come every system I build now needs 110 amp hour batteries? Well, Smart Panel had no idea what the battery loads were going to be, and it would build the systems, and you would do the math later, and you would kind of guess and say, well, we're going to need 55s, we always do. When they really ran the math, maybe I needed 110s. So now, coming back to this, we default this system to use ESPSs only. And then if you want to allow them, you would check the switch that says, all right, allow a single ESXPS in a bay. Or if I'm showing multiple power supplies, let that finish running. I shouldn't have been in this tab. There we go. All right. See, I just went from 55 amp hour batteries. I'm only going to go to 110s because now I'm using ESXPSs. So I guess my point to you is, you can play with this a little bit. If I do the multiple power supplies, I can put 2 in a bay, 3 in a bay, 4 in a bay, and I can, if they're all ESXPSs in the second or third cabinet, it'll allow that. But bear in mind, the first cabinet has to charge the batteries for everybody. So play with that option and see how your quotes come out. All right, so this is the other thing that Evan asked me to talk about, is how do we place an order, a 4100 order, because this has been a real pain point for everybody involved. You have to send a layout file, because we build our systems configured different from every other manufacturer. We send you a complete panel with all the piece of parts, but to do that we have to have a set of directions on what should go in bay 1, what should go in bay 2, etc. And the problem that we found is people forget and they don't send the layout file, which used to be part of Smart Panel. Now it's created in Selection Navigator, but if we don't attach them, or if we attach it wrong, then it delays the process. So let me back out of this, and I will show you. I've got 2 options. One is just a single panel that's nothing, and the other one is a network system. So in the estimate details, that's the clipboard screen here, and I'm in the systems. If I check but this is my fire control.
Guys, we don't see any screen.
You don't see a screen. Let me stop sharing and reshare that.
Yeah, we're seeing Mike Stone.
I had the same problem. I had to close out the browser window and then come back to the meeting, and I was able to see it.
Tell me when you guys can see my screen.
Just click on his name and you'll get it.
There you go.
Okay, so I apologize if you guys didn't see that previously, what I was showing. I don't want to go back through it all, but
Yeah, I was seeing it, Chuck.
okay.
Yeah, I had to double click, but I got it.
So now I've got 2 options built here. I have a single panel, and I have a panel that has 2 nodes and a lot of things attached to it. Let's do this easy one first. In the estimate details, that's the little clipboard screen. I'm in the systems tab. I check the box next to the fire panel and say, let's create documents, because what I need is the layout file. In a moment, I'm going to get this. One of the options is a 4100 layout for manufacturing. I would check it. I hit create documents. In the interest of time, I've already done that here, so I'll show you what it builds for us. And this is the project docs tab up here, and it will give me a file that says 4100 layout for manufacturing, and it'll have the same name, what I called the panel. You would download this locally to your machine somewhere, put it in a job file, and you'll need this later when you place the order. So that's very simple because there's only one, but let's go over onto a multi-noded system. So now I have 4100 node 1 fire alarm control unit. I have a configured annunciator in node 1. I have 2 transponders. I have the exact same stuff on node 2. So here's one of the errors that's been happening where people know they need a layout file. They'll check the box. So now we've got everything all checked. They say create a document, and then they don't get the option for 2 layouts for manufacturing. They just have 1. And what happens is when you create that file, you end up with a set of instructions to put 2 control panels all together on one system, and that always and they'll kick it back. So what will happen? We had somebody send this in. Look at the name that it creates. This top one is that option that I did. If you guys can read it, it says 4100 layout for manufacturer error. Well, we've actually had people attach that still. This is when you try to open that file, it's a text file that says, well, the reason why is you have 2 CPUs on the system. It's not allowed. So the right way to have done that would have been at the estimate details screen. If you have 2 nodes, 3 nodes, 4 nodes, you'll have to do this one time, each time for each node involved. All right, so I'm back here. I'm on the Systems tab, and this is the only page you have to be on this system so you can actually see the individual pieces of parts. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all the Node 1 items. Create documents, create the layout file. When I'm finished, come back here and do this again for Node 2. And again, I've already done those. They're in my docs, and I've saved them. So now let's move forward to where do we need this? Let's create the order. So I'm in the estimate summary. I go to the orders page. And here's another common mistake that everybody makes. Your system, I've used mine enough where it automatically remembers how many records I want to see, but yours might be showing 10 records. And when you scroll down to the bottom, it'll say 1 to 10 of 156. So you need to expand your view to show everything so they're all on one screen. Because if you order half the control panel's components and things don't match up, and that's another area where we're going to see a delay sometimes from engineering or from production. So I'm going to check the box, and I've checked all 156 items. So let's add to the order. I create orders, and what it's going to do, this is kind of like a shopping cart at the bottom, things that are available to be ordered currently. When I place my order, they're going to disappear and they'll appear in the order at the top. Okay, if I've done anything right, yeah, those are all gone now, and I'm up here, and a new order's been placed. When I hover over this dot, it says, well, it's not ready for submission. Why is that the case? So I'm going to click the pencil to edit it, and I get this familiar screen for anybody that's done this. This is my order UI, the order user interface. We should, hopefully, your your area sales manager has the left and the right info in the center already done for you. The most important part of this whole page is this TFPP customer service email, because when you hit submit, that sends it to Boca Raton to our CSR reps. If you have your email address or mine or anybody else's in here, you need to get a hold of your ASM and ask them so we can correct that for you. All right, so that said, I fill out these items. So for you old guys, BR549, young guys don't have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm booking the project today. I have to put the red items have to be done. So I'm going to say, typically I'm shipper's choice because we're going to do it the best way. I'm going to go by truck. When do I need this by? It's a 4100, so that's not going to happen tomorrow.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
We're getting a lot of background noise, like thumping and so forth, during the presentation.
Is it from mine, do you think?
I think so, because it looks like you're the only mic active.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe it's the keyboard.
It could be. So I have when do I need this? I need this, say, on December 16th. My payment terms at 45. And I filled in all the red items. It looks right. So I'm going to hit save. It'll tell me if it's right. Well, it isn't quite right because we have this email recipients. This is a new field. Maybe you guys want to have someone else in your organization. You can add email addresses here. Or you can leave it blank, but it can't say email address list. So I'm going to zero that out. Okay. So now let's hit save. All right, so I'm green now. Everything looks like it's right. This is a 4100 system though. So let's go ahead and submit the request. Well, first thing I'm going to do, I don't want our CSR reps getting this. I'm going to do what I told you not to do. I'm going to change this email so I get it and they don't. But that said, you would never do that. Let's submit the request. I didn't attach my layout file, so I have no instructions for the folks in Matamoros on how to build the system. This is a new field, a new warning that never used to be here. So there's an easy way to fix this. I'm going to close it. I'm going to come over here to the to add attachments. And I want to choose the file. So I go and I search on my computer, wherever it was that I previously put this. It's there. Open and make sure you hit upload. I have a lot of folks that think that step one did it. You have to upload and show it here at the bottom. So let's upload. I still need the Nov'2 because we had 2 panels in this system. Choose the file. Let's grab the other one. Open, upload. And this will kick me back out to the, I have to come back in one more time. So I'm back at the order screen. When I hover over it, it says, all right, we're ready for submission. We haven't sent it yet. So I want to go back one more time, edit it. Everything's there. At this point, if I want to look at it, I can click this eyeball over here, and what it'll do is show the PDF. And this is identical. This is exactly what gets sent to our CSR reps. Here's your purchase order. Your order has Jesse Aquendo. Raquel has all the individual pieces and parts. You can download this for your own record, save it in your job file as well. But at this point, I hit submit request. And it went through successfully. So those steps, I don't mess up anymore if as far as not forgetting to add the attachment. But what you could do, if you accidentally add node 1 and you put the transponders, but you accidentally click node 2's transponders as well, this system has no way of knowing. So if you just be a little cautious, take a moment and make sure that you're grabbing all the pieces that actually go with that CPU before you order. So that's it. We're going to have Brad Lynch in Learning Development has scheduled some time in the first 2 weeks of December. We're going to be doing updates. So for folks that have been through Selection Navigator training, but really haven't seen the 4100 or need some more help with it, your area sales managers will reach out to you and get you scheduled in those classes. We're going to do them regionally, so we don't have the West Coast folks trying to work on East Coast time and vice versa. So that's it for me. Peter, who's next, please?
Hi, sorry, I guess I had been muted. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks so much for going through that. I'm just popping my screen up here, and we can start on with the next piece of the presentation, which is the intro to Xaap. I don't know why it wants to do this every time. Great. It sees that I have 2 monitors, and it wants to. It always wants to display on the wrong one. Sorry. All right, sorry about that. It took a couple seconds. So what I'd like to do now is hand the presentation over to Glenn Sorensen. Glenn is one of the leaders of our Xaap program, and Glenn will be kicking off the Xaap piece of the presentation. So just tell me when you want me to switch, Glenn.
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Hi, everybody. My name is Glenn Sorensen. I'm based in Cork in Ireland. I've been working on the Xaap program right from the beginning to where we are today, and that's a place that's a product being used right across the service business for BSNA or JCI service business in North America. So, you know, today is a really kind of proud moment for me, right, to be able to kind of launch this product and bring it into the Autocall dealer space as well. So really appreciate you spending the time here, and you know, happy to go through it with you. I believe, I know that you have had most of you have had a teaser last month on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I believe you didn't get a demo last month, so I'm going to just to do a quick recap on what Xaap is, and we'll be quickly moving over to our product owner, Rovigo Minucci, who's going to perform a demo for you guys. So just kind of, I suppose, a recap of what it is. It's an inspection reporting platform. It's system agnostic. So basically, we use Xaap to perform many inspection types. Some of you in your test and inspect space might only do fire alarm inspections, but others, we'll do fire extinguisher inspections, sprinkler inspections, joint commission inspections. There's many different system inspection types, and the good news is that all those inspection types can be used on Xaap or in Xaap, and we currently use them in other parts of our business, right, to perform them. It's got two primary components, and that is the web application. And that web application is effectively being used for a lot of our administrative type things, for maintaining and modifying our report templates. It's used for user and customer management. It's used for historic reporting to get access to all the historic reports. So yeah, it's predominantly used by, I suppose, admins or access to the customer data. Okay, it's not used for the inspection itself. What actually used for the inspection is our mobile phone application, and that is currently an iOS application, but we are releasing our first iteration of the Android application next week. So that's that inspection app is effectively what the inspector will bring on site with them, and you'll see Rovigo doing the demo of how the inspector may go through a building and inspect all those devices in that building. The application itself, I think, has a number of, I suppose, key things, right, that will really help you provide service to your customers, right, and to yourself. So the first thing is you'll have 24/7 access to that data. It's cloud-based solution, so it's always online. We have means to increase your efficiency and accuracy. So we support barcoding. So if you have a lot of your devices in buildings or have already been barcoded, you can capture those barcodes within Xaap, store them, and when it comes to test them again, you just need to scan the barcode. We also have a gateway, which is coming in early in 2021, probably around the February timeframe, and that really will help you the Autocall business and any buildings where you've got Autocall panels. Allows us to do a number of things, and they are get all the points in relation to a panel. It will allow us to send alarms to the phone from the panel. So when you smoke a smoke detector on the 3rd floor, the inspector gets a notification of that alarm through the panel and the gate out and back down to the phone, right? So there's a real kind of adherence to the alarm actually going off on the panel itself. Consistent reporting is key as well, because you have the ability to provide all your customers consistent reporting, whether it's just fire alarm or any other inspections. You get the common look and feel, and that's something that we have found that really helps the customer, and is a selling point for you to try win some of your business as well through various customers. Our reports are customizable as well, so we've got some out-of-the-box templates, but they're easily customizable for your needs. And so if you just go on to the next slide, Peter, if you don't mind. So just want to pick a few things from this slide, guys, just to point out multiple inspector. Some of you may only send one inspector to a building. Some of you may instead send multiple inspectors to building, depending on the size of the building. Xaap supports multiple inspector, and what that means is an inspector can start an inspection in a building, and one or more other inspectors can actually join that inspection. Both the phones will be kept in sync. So it's a bit like, I suppose, a WhatsApp group, right? One inspector passes a device, and that is seen to be passed on the other inspector's phone as well. So they're kept in sync as long as they're both online. Images for deficiencies, so we can capture images, display the reports, and annotate on those deficiencies as well. And offline mode as well, so it's worth mentioning because not everywhere in the building has access to the internet, so you can do the vast majority of things on Xaap while offline. You need to be online to start it and close the inspection, but in the middle you can come in and out of offline, and it'll sync back up to the cloud once you're back online. So they're the main things. I actually, there's one more kind of thing I want to point out is our inventory management. As and when you start to use Xaap, what you're actually building up for yourselves and for the customer, right, is a full inventory of everything in that database, of everything in that building. If it's only a fire alarm system, you'll get all the smoke detectors, duct detectors, all the panel information, right, ready for you on a customer basis, right, up available in the cloud. So yeah, that's really neat, and I suppose that the final thing, right, is that you also have the capability of giving access to your customers to their reports as well and their data. So you can share their reporting, give them access online to their inspection reporting, which is could be a really powerful selling point for you as you try and win businesses in your various geographies. So I'm gonna just leave it at that because I think I blitzed through it, and I think you all had a lot last month. So I'm just going to go straight over to Rovigo now. I'm going to ask Rovigo to do the demo. We should have time at the end for questions, but if anyone wants to post questions in the meantime on the chat, I'll be monitoring that as well, and I can try to respond to that. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so thank you very much, Glenn. I am Rovigo. I'm the product manager for Xaap. And yes, as Glenn said, we are based, the core team of Xaap is based in Cork, Ireland. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can I just share my screen, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go ahead and share it. It'll take right over.
Okay, cool. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so what are you seeing in the screen is the two platforms that Glenn has already spoken about. We have the web component and the iOS component. At the very end of the demo, I'm going to show a quick video to represent how the gateway works, to give a little bit more color of the explanation that Glenn has already given to you, how we can connect a panel to the cloud using the gateway and then pull the devices and perform pretty much an inspection. But for the beginning, I'm going to start the demo with what we are seeing now in the screen. So I'm going to start with the web application. The web application is the place where you can start managing and organizing all the customer information that you are going to be performing inspections in the future. The first level in Xaap is the area where you can manage all your customers. You can create as many customers as you want, and then you can define the permissions of who is going to be able to access that specific customer. And you can even define what is going to be the inspections that are going to be performed in each one of the buildings. As you see in the screen, you have, well, we have in this demo account only 2 customers. I have demo customers and other customers just for the testing purposes. And let me go to the user section. This is the second area. The most used area in Xaap is going to be the user list. This is the place where you are going to be adding all the users that are going to have access to Xaap. And you can define granular permissions to each one of those users. So you can have all your inspectors, and you can define that they are going to be inspecting one specific customer or probably a group of customers because it's probably a region. You can define all that information in this specific area. The last one is the inspection type. As Glenn commented in his talk, is you can use out of the box a set of default templates that we have been creating out of the box. But apart from that, you can as well use those default templates to create your own personalized inspection type and then modify the questions that you want to ask. When you modify your inspection, you can then use that inspection to assign it to your inspectors and to specific customers if you want. And those inspections are going to be personalized with all the information that you really require, or probably even a customer requires a specific set of questions that needs to be asked. You can configure as well your inspection type. Again, if you create your inspection type, the default inspection type is not going to be updating the new created inspection. What this means is that Xaap will keep in sync all the default inspection type. If you use out of the box the system defaults, every single addition that we do to those single inspection types are going to be propagated to your account. However, if you create a copy of that one and you manage your own inspection type, you are not going to get all the updates of that inspection type. So let me go back to our initial section for all the customers, and let me jump to the manage area of one specific customer. This is the second level of Xaap. This is where you can, in each one of the customers, you can manage all the buildings and facilities for each one of the customers. Some of your customers probably are national account customers, and you can create multiple facilities. You can use the facilities in the left side to use it as a facilities if they have multiple facilities, or you can as well use it as a cities or regions. And inside each one of the facilities, you can create multiple buildings or sites. You can create as many facilities as you want and as many buildings as you want inside each one of the facilities. When you go directly to each one of the buildings, you are going to see straight away the most important information of each building. The first section is going to be the devices, which is going to be the inventory of all the devices that you have in that specific building. In this area, you can easily first, one of the options that you have to add all the information for each specific customer can be added initially, adding each one of the devices manually, but very often we have multiple hundreds of devices. So this will be really helpful if you need to add a couple of devices, but you can do it in the web application. The second option is to import devices. You can import an Excel file or a CSV file, and the import process will help you out to map your specific attributes that you are importing in that specific file to the information that Xaap used to specify each one of the attributes. For example, if you import smoke detectors, you are going to be able to map the attributes in your document with the attributes in Xaap that we use for addresses, for example. So you can add all the information that you currently have in your Excel file and map it to the structure that Xaap used to map those specific devices. The third option will be, as Glenn commented, is if you have currently and you are performing an inspection in an Autocall panel, you can use the gateway. And the gateway will automatically connect to the panel, connect to the cloud, and it's going to populate all the device lists directly from the panel. So in theory, we have 3 or even 4, if we don't forget the option of having the possibility to add devices in the mobile application. You have even 4 options or 4 ways to include devices into the structure of each one of the customers. In this area, under the building section, you are going to see, along with the devices, the contact section, which is going to be the relevant contact information for each one of the buildings. And you can share the contact information for multiple buildings. Each one of the contacts created are going to be created under that customer, which means that you can use the same customer over and over again in all the buildings. Have like a general manager of that specific customer. The next section is notes. Notes is really powerful and helpful. The notes can be created during the inspection in the mobile application by the inspector. Every node that is being created is going to be populated in the cloud. So what this means is that every single node added by the inspector, the manager or even the building owner will be able to see those nodes. And it's a really streamlined way to communicate between the field and the final customer, or even with the office and the field. The last tab in the building area is going to be the inspections. This one is going to be the list of all the inspections performed in Xaap under that specific building. If we go to any other buildings in this specific customer, you are going to be able to go to the inspection and automatically will filter really easy and simple all the inspections for those specific buildings. However, if you want to have a broader view of all the inspections performed under the demo customer, you can go to the historical report. This is going to give you an overall overview of all the inspections that has been started and closed inside this specific customer. And you can as well use the search criteria to narrow down your list based on any of the options that we have in the left sidebar. Along with the historical report, we have a couple of more sections. We have the contacts, I have spoken already. Inspection type is very specific if you want to really define a specific one for one customer, but it's not necessary to have it in there. And the last one is going to be the deficiency section. The deficiency dashboard is the list of all the deficiencies that are being tracked during the inspection process. And they are going to be almost in real time populated in this dashboard. What you can see in this specific list is from the building where the deficiency was created, the device type where the deficiency was tracked, the attributes of that specific device type, the failure with the reason when you see the details, and when was that specific deficiency tracked. If you go inside and you click on that specific deficiency, you are going to be able to see pretty much all the information about that deficiency, along with all the pictures that the inspector has tracked or has captured for that specific deficiency. You can mark this deficiency as closed, and that specific deficiency is going to be removed from the deficiency section in that list that I previously showed. Another good option in here is that you can go to the closed inspection where that deficiency was tracked. For example, this one specifically, I can just click open report, and automatically we are going to be opening the PDF report where that deficiency was tracked. And if we go to that specific section, this is a very simple way of seeing all the deficiencies, very at the top of the report. And if you want to see the pictures, you can just click in the appendix section and you are going to be able to see the deficiencies. This is just a quick overview how the report looked like. And I will be showing how the report end up resulting when we create a new inspection, showing the demo of the mobile application. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, probably I completely forgot to show, in the same way that you can see the report in the deficiency section and open the report, if you go to the building, you can go to the inspections and you can as well download the report. The report is automatically populated as soon as the inspector closed the inspection, and you are going to be able to access straight away that reporting here. So I'm going to jump now to let me select this fire alarm building in here, and I'm going to jump to the mobile application to show how the inspection is being performed. So as I said, the web application is to manage the customers, the structure of each one of the customers, structures, sites, or buildings of each one of the customers, all the devices, and see or look for all the reports closed. The mobile application, though, is the tool that is being used by the technicians or the inspectors in the field. So what we are looking in the center of the screen is the web application. This is the first screen that we see when we start on, when we open the inspection and we log in into Xaap. We have a really clear 3 options. This is the first specific section of the app that every inspector is going to see. You have the option to search for a building to start in order to create, join an inspection, or view historical reports. You can as well search open inspections by work order number. We have an option to add a work order number when you create an inspection. Or the bottom part is going to be to look for all the open inspections that I have created in the past and I haven't closed. This is really helpful for inspectors for these really long-term inspections where is very often takes multiple. They can start an inspection, they can leave that inspection at the end of the day, and the day after that one, they can just click in, oh, let me see all my inspections, and they can look for the inspection, they can click in the inspection, and they can just join the inspection, and all the information is going to be pulled from the moment that they left the inspection the day before. Let's start an inspection from scratch. So I'm going to click in the first option at the top, search for a building, and I'm going to search for the building that we have in the background, which is demo building fire alarm. Oh, well, we encountered that we found 2 different buildings in this scenario, but you can tell which one is the customers in the gray line at the bottom. So because we are in demo customers, I'm going to select the demo customer. And this is where actually we start. We have 2 different options in this specific screen. We have the option to create a brand new inspection, or the inspectors can as well look for the historical reports in the mobile application. In the same way that we see it in the web application, the inspector can look for the inspections closed in this specific building, and they are going to be able to see it along with all the information of that specific inspection. For example, the first one says that is a default multiple inspection type, and the test to perform was a fire alarm inspection. The inspector can preview the report, and they can just have a quick look of all the report. They can tell if all the how many devices they are going to be inspecting, if there is some deficiencies that probably he needs to be careful to track during this current session, or so on. So he can see the size of the building. It's really helpful to let them aware what to expect in that specific building. Very often, not every inspector is the inspector that inspects the building every year. So if they have access to the previous inspection report, even before they show up inside, that's really powerful. This is what we learn from all our research with all the customers and inspectors. In this section as well, the inspector can share the report probably with their own customer. Very often, customers call directly the inspector asking for, oh, can you please send me the report that you did in November? So with Xaap, you can just really quick in your phone, look for that report for that specific customer, use the share functionality, and then you can use the share functionality that is embedded in the mobile application to share it by email or to share it by message or any of the default native functionality. That being said, well, let me start with an inspection. So the first option in this list is create an inspection. I hit create inspection, and the step 1 of creating an inspection is entering a work order number. As I said, you can enter one or many work order numbers that are going to be really helpful to search for that report either in the web or in the mobile application to rejoin that inspection in the future. However, I'm not going to add any work order number for this inspection, and I'm going to hit next. The second step is selecting the inspection type. For this specific customer, we have defined 5 default inspection types that are being assigned from the default templates that we provide. So we have the default multiple inspection types that contains multiple tests to perform. We have the standalone extinguisher, fire pump, joint commission, and a sprinkler. For this specific test, I'm going to start a fire alarm that is included inside the multiple inspection types. So I'm going to click multiple inspection type first. I need to select what is going to be the frequency. I'm going to select annual. And then you have multiple tests to perform that can be perform at the same time. If your inspector is going to be performing a fire alarm along with a Norse call, for example, they can select all the tests to perform that they want. And when they create this inspection, all the devices are going to be pulled from the system, and the inspector can perform all the inspections at the same time. However, the report is going to be broken down by each one of the tests to perform that the inspector has selected at the beginning. This means that not all the devices are going to be mixed up. They are going to have a final report for each one individual test that they are performing, really well separated. For this specific inspection type, I'm going to perform a fire alarm inspection really quick. I'm going to hit next. And this is the last step of creating the inspection. You have all the details of the inspection that you are going to create, along with the inspection type, the frequency, and the test to perform. I'm happy with that, and I hit create. The first screen that we see as soon as we create the inspection is the inspection summary with the resume of everything that has been selected for that inspection type. The inspector can enable or disable the barcode scanning functionality in this screen. This will enable the inspector to start scanning devices, and if the devices were imported or were inspected before and the barcode was added to that specific device, they are going to be able just to scan, and the application will jump straight away to that specific device. The second option is we have the progress. This is only showing the devices that has questions. It's just a quick overview of the devices that needs to have questions answered. It's not showing all the devices that are in the building. For that purpose, we have a specific device section. The last step is going to be buildings. In the building tab, you are going to be able to see the details of the building. You are going to have access to the notes of that building, the same notes that we have seen in the web. This is the place where the inspector can enter all the notes. He can enter one or many notes. The inspector can make the note permanent. This means that it's going to be saved in the web and it's going to be retrieved every time that they start an inspection. And they can decide if they want to show or not that specific note in the report. Sometimes they want just to keep track of some notes that doesn't need to be shown in the report, so they can do it so. They can write down, oh, you need to show up in the site before 6 a.m. before everybody is coming to work. So they can write that down, and every time that they start the inspection, they are going to be able to retrieve that specific note, or they can go in the web and they can retrieve it as well. The last part is, again, after you start the inspection, you can as well have access really quick to all the historical reports of that specific building. So the inspector can verify from the previous inspections if what he is seeing right now has relevance still, or if there are some specific deficiencies that they need to really take care during that specific inspection. So this is everything in the inspection summary. So if we open the menu at the top left corner of the screen, we are going to have multiple options in our menu that are related to the inspection. We have sections like the building contacts, where you can add one or many building contacts. It's important, that section, because this is the contact that is going to be shown in the report. I don't have any contact information in here. I can add one specific one to show you how this specific feature works. And let me add test@test.com. So we have this building contact. If you notice at the bottom, we have display contact in report. When we enable that toggle, that contact information is going to be displayed in the reports. So it's very often that the report should show the contact person. Is helpful for your sales personnel to know how to contact that customer specifically by name and what is the telephone number. So this information is going to be shown in the report if the inspector added and then toggle on the display contact in the report. The next options are, well, you have a place where you can add deficiencies and recommendations. You have a place where you are going to see all the devices. Another place, because this is a fire alarm inspection, you have notification devices. which is only for fire alarm inspection. So we can as well go to that section. Then you have report, which is the place where you can leave the inspection, see reports, preview the reports, or you can close the inspection. And then the other two are more helpful. If there is something going on with Xaap, you can see some errors coming to the inspection issues, and then you can clearly communicate that back to your team, and they are going to be more than happy to help you. So if we go first for the deficiencies, you can specify a list of other deficiencies that you found in that specific building. So you can add any type of additional deficiencies, like, well, we recommend the customer that they need to do the 5-year maintenance test in the next year because this or that or that. So they can add as many information they want in that specific, the other deficiency section. The next question is going to be, do you have any recommendations? Well, the recommendation is probably, well, they need to replace some, I don't know, smoke detectors that have more than 25 years old. So they can specify as well what is going to be the recommendation. Every single answer is going to be displayed in the report in the specific section. The next section is going to be the all devices. This is the most, this is the part where all the fun starts. This is where you are going to be able to see all the itemized devices that you have in the web. If you notice, you are going to have a Q icon in the identified with a Q and the number of the questions. If the user tab in that specific section is going to be prompted with a multiple questions that needs to be answered for that specific device type. So you can specify how many, enter the quantity of the batteries, how many hours, amp hours rating, and bear with me, I don't know if I'm typing something wrong in here. Probably something like this, and so on. So you can keep adding all the answer for each one of the questions that has been specified. After you are happy with all the answers, you can just pass a device. This is really simple. The device is moved to the pass bucket. You can always tap again and undo the device, and the device is going to go to the to-do bucket back again. So if I pass the device, we move the device to the pass bucket. We can as well fail the device. You can specify the failure reasons, and then you can specify the failure description. So it's just a fail. You can as well add one or multiple pictures to that specific deficiency. You use this picture, you can do annotations, and you can add even multiple colors to that annotation to make it even more relevant. When you are happy, you can just hit apply. And again, in the same way as the pass device, the fail device goes to the fail bucket. Okay? So this is one way of doing the inspection, but if you want to speed up the process, we have implemented bulk actions. So with the bulk actions, you can do multiple options. You can bulk answer questions. So if you have multiple batteries or multiple extinguishers, you can answer a bunch of extinguishers at the same time. Very often the extinguishers are being installed at the same date, and the installation date, the manufacture date is the same. So probably has sense to answer all the manufacture days for all the extinguishers at the same time. You can assign locations. You can change dates of any action that has been happening inside the Xaap application, or you can pass device. For this sample, I'm going to pass a couple of devices. You can always select the select all button at the bottom of the screen. This will select all the devices in one go. This will select all the devices in one go. I'm going just to select all of the devices unless one, and I hit apply, confirm, and there you go. So this one, I can just finalize and pass the device. So I'm pretty happy with this specific area right now. So I pass and fail all the devices. Let me go to the next one. This is pretty simple. You have the itemized way of looking for notification devices or the non-itemized way. The itemized way is going to be adding each one of the devices independently, and you can pull those devices in the next time that you perform the inspection. The non-itemized, you can just define a bold general status for that specific building. You are passing all the devices, and then you can just add exceptions, like only one horn stroke is failing, so you can add only one exception, and that will be the exception of the rule that you have defined previously in the general status. So if we go to the final step, this is the report section. The report section has the leave inspection, where you can leave the inspection and then rejoin later on. You can preview the inspection. Previewing the inspection is going to pull a preview of the report with the preview background in there. You can as well configure that report with several options: hide untested devices, hide any questions. You can define another contact, or you can sort devices. You can as well share the report using the native sharing component of the mobile application. But I'm happy with this inspection. Let me hit close inspection and generate report. And this is the very last step. In this step, you can still preview the report. You can add general notes that are not going to be retrieved in the next inspection that is going to be performed, or you can define the email recipients. I want to send a copy to Bob, which is the building manager, and one to me, to my personal email. So the inspector can define those specific email recipients. He can say those people are going to receive a copy of the report when they close the inspection. The final step is going to be the inspection signature. So the inspection signature is going to be where the inspector can sign off for the report. As well, the inspector can add additional signatures for the customer, for example, to ask the customer to sign the report. He can just enter the information of the inspector, of the customer, what is going to be the role, and then he can ask the customer to just sign in the screen. This specific signature is going to be displayed below the inspector signature in the report. So I'm pretty happy now with this inspection. Let me close the inspection, and I confirm that I want to close and generate the report. This inspection has been closed, and I will receive now a link with the inspection results, where I can as well download the report in the mobile application, and I can see a preview. And by the way, all the recipients are going to be receiving the same inspection report that I just sent. Is it? It's not downloading the reporting here. But if we go to the specific inspection in my building, that specific inspection is going to be populated in there. And then you can open the report that we have just created in here. So this is pretty much all the inspection that we have created with all the information, and all the customers are going to receive the same copy that we have received already. I think that's pretty much it so far. And I will just take 2 minutes to show a quick video how the gateway, the other component that we have to connect Autocall panels with Xaap, will work to pull devices and perform an inspection.
Rodrigo, can we just pause here? I'm just conscious of timer, right? Because we can always send on the copy of the video, right, to the audience if it needs to be. But I want to make sure we've got just allow enough time for questions. If we've no questions, then I think we can show the video. But I think we've only got 10 minutes left, so we should probably just jump to questions if there is any.
Yeah, great point. Thanks, Glenn. And yeah, so let's open it up for questions for a few minutes. We want to be conscious of everyone's time. We've got, Evan, didn't know if there's anything that you wanted to add too about the Xaap platform, which is, I think, a great opportunity. So let's see, we've got a question from Matt Reynolds. Are you able to import other inspections such as form links and building reports into Xaap?
So we can do an import of devices, right? So I think in things like, I'm not familiar with knowing about form links, but building reports, you can extract the data into files. So we can import via Excel or CSV. So once you get into that format, Matt, the import process, the wizard allow you to kind of map the I guess the building reports attributes to the data attributes required in Xaap. So yes, it is possible, but there's just a bit of transformation work on the data required first. Does that answer your question, Matt?
All right. Yeah, it looks like it does. Excellent. Any other questions from anybody on any of the content on the information that Anil presented on the 07th edition and the info from Chuck?
So I guess, guys, and actually this is on the slides, Peter, if you are reverting back to it, all right. But on the deck, will you be sending out the deck, Peter?
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to cover. And actually, there was a question from Daniel. Can a sample report be available to download to look at?
Yeah, we can do that. I think maybe Chelsea, you on the call, have we uploaded some sample reports to the Autocall site?
Yeah, the sample reports not yet, but they will be available tomorrow. So far, you'll be able to look for a sales sheet and then as well as a spec sheet. And if you're looking for a handout to share with your colleague, but the sample reports will be available soon tomorrow. If you go to the Autocall website and then you can hover over the drop down from product, you'll be able to find Xaap inspection reports. And from there, you'll see related documents, and that's where you'll be able to find.
And if anyone wants to have further conversations regarding Xaap, the best thing to do is to reach out to your kind of area sales manager directly, and then we can kickstart those conversations.
Right. And that's a good point there, just Chelsea, to expand on what you just said. For those of you, if you do take a look at the Autocall site, you'll notice that Xaap has been added. So that's a recent addition over the last few days where there's a whole new section on the website covering Xaap. And that's in the public section of the website as well. So, your customers will be able to see this, and we'll start talking about Xaap via the Autocall social media channels as well with the launch. That's going to happen later on today. So in fact, actually, when this is done, I'm going to send the bulletin out. Couple other questions came in. Really good one. When can they start using Xaap? When is it available?
Well, it's available. It's available now, right? But I mean, just so we're clear, right? I mean, it's a product that we're to purchase licenses for from a subscription point of view. So Scotty and John, reach out to your area sales manager. If there's something you want to start using, we can kind of get you up and running, get you a kind of demo login if you want to kind of start using Xaap, and and we can run through various pricing options with you then as well.
Yeah, which was just a question that just came in as well, is where's the pricing information and demo logins? Yep.
Yeah, the pricing we can refer back to the ASM, and then we can go from there if you are interested in using the product.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right. It looks like the question stream is clear here. We've answered everything. So Evan, we've got just a few more minutes here. Did you want to close up with anything on some last words, or do we want to? Are we all set? Maybe we lost Evan. He was on vacation this week. Yeah, we lost Evan. So that was my mistake. I should have checked to see if he was there. Yeah, so I think that's a good place to leave it then, everybody. Thank you so much for your participation today. As I mentioned in the beginning, this replay will be up, and you'll be able to have a look at it and pass it along to colleagues that maybe weren't able to attend. If you have any questions on any of this or any suggestions for topics that you'd like to see on future sessions, and they can be anything, please do go ahead and reach out to us, and specifically you can reach out to me on suggestions on how we can make these better. We're always looking to make sure that we're delivering the content that you want to see, and like I said, I can pull in just about anybody into these sessions to cover different topics. So with that, we will call it a day. Stay safe. Please be careful with COVID and so forth. And for those of you in the U.S., please enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday next week. And thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.